Hey y'all, welcome back. Today I'm going to be making several recipes from this quick, thrifty vintage cookbook. Now I haven't heard of most of these recipes, but I picked them because they come together in 30 minutes or less, and some of them really surprised me. Now if you've ever tried these in the past, please let me know down in the comments, and I'm going to let you know what I thought, and maybe you can let me know how you remember making them so I can try them a little bit different next time. And if there's any vintage recipes that you think that I should try, leave those down in the comments because I'm always looking for more recipes and more things to try. So let's get started, y'all. This first recipe is probably my favorite out of all of them that I tried this week. It's on page 93 if y'all have the book and are following along. So first I just took some chicken breast and cut them into strips, and I just used as many as I thought that we would eat, but the recipe calls for 2 whole chicken breasts. That's 4 halves, skin and boned, and that's probably about 2 pounds or so. And with the rest of this chicken, I just like to save it for later because I wasn't going to use it this week, so I just used my food saver. It's definitely one of my favorite kitchen tools. It always keeps everything nice and fresh for a really long time. Then I just went ahead and diced up my onions really finely and sliced my mushrooms. I know some people really despise mushrooms, so I think you could skip them in this case and maybe put something else like some chopped asparagus or something else in this recipe that you love. Then we added 4 tablespoons of butter, which really helps add a ton of flavor. I mean, you really can't go wrong with butter. You could use a vegan alternative if you like, and then just added the chicken and some seasoning. The recipe only called for paprika and some salt, but I went ahead and added some pepper and garlic powder because those are the seasonings that I like for chicken, and I already know that I like that, so that's just the only adjustment I made here. And then I flipped the chicken and seasoned on the other side as well. And once that was cooked just a little bit, then I added the onions and mushrooms to the dish, and this is going to cook down quite a bit, so don't worry. It does look like a lot at first, but after mixing it together and sauteing for a few minutes, it does cook down. Then I added the 1/4 cup of water that it called for and covered it, reduced the heat, and just cooked that for about 2 minutes, and that really helps get everything all cooked through and nice and tender. Then I don't have sherry on hand. It called for sherry. It did say I could substitute water, so I just did some water with a little bit of flour, mixed that up, and then added that to the dish to make it a nice thick sauce. And I just cooked that for another minute or so, and then added the Greek yogurt. It called for either sour cream or plain yogurt, but I always use Greek yogurt. It's just nice and thick, and it has a lot of protein, and it's really great for cooking, so that's usually what I go with, but you could do sour cream if you like. And it just came out so amazing. I served it on some rice. You can add some more veggies if you like. It came together in less than 30 minutes. I am definitely making this one again. This next recipe is called Hamburger Diane. It's on page 114 if you're following along, and I'm using ground turkey. The recipe calls for ground beef, but we don't eat a ton of red meat here, so I just used ground turkey. And all you have to mix is some salt, black pepper, thyme, and rosemary. And so it kind of reminded me a little bit of maybe a meatloaf, like a simple meatloaf or meatballs, but without all the extra stuff. It's just, like patties basically. And just separate that into 4 pieces. I'm using about 1 pound here of ground turkey, and then you're just going to make them into even balls and flatten them into patties. So super easy. That probably took me 3 minutes or so to put together. Then I'm just going to heat some butter, again with the butter. It definitely adds a lot of flavor, and this recipe calls for Dijon mustard mixed in with the butter. So it was very different, very interesting. When I saw this recipe, I did not know what to expect. I added the patties in and cooked those thoroughly on both sides. And just a very interesting, I don't know if steak Diane is made the same way. Someone mentioned that's also a vintage recipe, but it was very different. And I was not sure if I was doing this all right. So it did turn out though. After I took out the patties, I just put in the lemon juice and the Worcestershire, and then sort of scraped the bottom of the pan to get all that flavor out, and added some butter. And that was it for the sauce. Just poured that on top. And that was it for this recipe. This one actually came together in 15 minutes. It took me longer to make the loaded mashed potatoes than anything that I served this with. I don't know what to serve it with next time, or if I'm going to try it a little bit different next time, but it was tasty, just a little bit different, very mustard forward and lemon forward. So definitely interesting. Okay, I don't want to exaggerate, but this one kind of changed my life. It's called broiled deviled fish fillets. It's on page 152, and very, very good recipe. Comes together so fast. So first we just mix together either tomato juice, or the recipe on the bottom said you can substitute chili sauce. I had this Asian chili sauce, which I know probably is not what they were talking about. I'm not sure what kind of chili sauce they meant, but that's what I used. And then you just mix together that with some vegetable oil. I used avocado oil, so any neutral oil would work. And then some Dijon mustard and horseradish. Mix that all up and you get this delicious sauce. Then I had this flounder that I found from Aldi in the freezer section. So I just thawed that out about 8 hours in advance and then put it on this buttered tray. Now for the kids, I actually did something different. I did salt, pepper, and a couple of tabs of butter on top for them because the chili sauce is spicy and my kids don't love spicy. But let me just tell you, the spiciness is so good on this fish. You can use any white fish, I think. Really, it says you could use sole, halibut, cod, or haddock fillets, sorry, haddock fillets. So I just picked up what I could find, and that just happened to be flounder, which I have never eaten before. So I'm just going to top all of those with the sauce and then put it under the broiler for about 5 to 7 minutes until it's nice and flaky. And look how bubbly and delicious. And I just served this with some rice and some broccoli, and it just blew my mind. And even my kids love this fish, so I'm definitely making this again. Okay, this next recipe, this is where things are going to get a little bit different. This is called the Chinese noodle salad on page 42. This is going to be a room temp dish. Now, I think you could make this for a lunch, like, for a sack lunch or something like that if you wanted to. I think you could eat it cold too, and that would be perfectly fine. But in a bowl, we just mix together some creamy peanut butter and some warm water until it's dissolved. Then add some vegetable oil. Again, I like avocado oil, soy sauce, salt, sugar, white wine vinegar, and some minced garlic. And we're just going to mix it all together and then put our cooked spaghetti in there. Oh, and some green onions too that we sliced really finely, of course, and just mix it together. And that's it for this dish. I just made some crispy tofu to go with and go on top, but it was really interesting and different. Next, we're making this high protein vegetarian salad, as it's called, on page 220. So this one I probably will not make again, or I'm just going to need some suggestions for you all to kind of figure out what in the world this is supposed to be. It was very different. It's technically a salad, but it's basically just bell peppers and onions that you just finely dice together. You do make a sauce to go with it as well. And I'm not sure if maybe I should have let it marinate longer, or just, I didn't have sunflower seeds like it called for, so maybe that's what it was missing. But the sauce seemed like it was going to be really tasty. Vegetable oil, some yogurt, salt, and cumin, and mix that together super easy. And then add all the ingredients with a can of chickpeas. And you're just going to serve it just like that. So it was definitely different. Again, I didn't have the sunflower seeds. The sauce itself was delicious. Just a big mouthful of bell peppers and onions. So definitely not my cup of tea. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you really enjoyed this video. It helps my channel a ton. And if you're new here, please subscribe and hit that little bell for notifications so you can get notified every time I post. And if y'all are looking for this book, it is in the description. I also have it in my storefront, so you can find it pretty easy. And again, if you have any recommendations for other vintage cookbooks or vintage recipes, please let me know down below as well. Hope you have a great day. Bye.